classes.
Oh, I see it too. It's live right there.
Um, all right, perfect. So I know this is being pushed into multiple places. So we're ready to rock. So hello, and welcome to another installment of Ask Me How I Know with Danielle the Coach. Yes, I am Danielle the Coach, certified life and leadership coach. I help six-figure earners make strategic, profitable, and purpose-driven career pivots that honor who they are, the legacy that they've already created, and also, most importantly, what they're called to do next. I am here today with a very special guest that I'm excited to have another
Special.
conversation and deep dive with on the topic of skills to pay the bills. And this is so, I think, timely. I think always important because it's easy for us to forget just how valuable we are and just how much we know based on the what how much time and space that we've covered as career professionals and also as entrepreneurs. And so O and I are going to be talking about skills to pay the bills, the fact that you've got skills to pay the bills, even if you've been counting yourself out, even if you have been in a space or a mindset of thinking that you've kind of been pigeonholed because you now have so much expertise and you become known for a thing. We're going to dispel some of those myths and hopefully shake things up for you in a great way, especially going into the new year. So without further ado, I want to give my special guest an opportunity to introduce herself and tell us who she is, what she does, and who she primarily serves and why.
Okay, so very simple. I am Leonard. I am the owner and founder of Rainwater Grove. What we do is we provide operations training. So mostly that's Office 365, Google Workspace, time management, project management, and digital well-being. I got all five. And we also provide a few other value added services behind the scenes. So what we do is we help like business owners or people or project leaders to kind of look at their routines, look at their systems, and help them get the best fit. Because sometimes people have these, especially business owners, they just buy things because they have a need right then, and they're not aware of everything that software does, especially with those Office productivity suites.
Got it.
Did I get everything?
What's your why?
My why?
Yeah.
Okay. So actually, I enjoy learning, right? So as anyone who's ever taught anything, that you get to learn the most when you're teaching. And so by able to deep dive into these different applications and just helping people, customer service is something that I've always enjoyed. And so this
Mhm.
is a type of customer service. So it's like combining all the things I enjoy. I enjoy learning, I enjoy teaching, I enjoy doing customer service and helping people. And so I'm able to combine all of those things into one job that I just get to do. It's like, fun.
Hey, listen, that's like literally like the perfect setup. Combining multiple things that you love to do and finding a way to package it up, right? And it's
Right.
even better when you can monetize it because that part. But no, thank you for sharing that. So, rainwater growth. Like I am here for the unique, out of the box, uncommon, like nomenclature and naming conventions for business names. So one of my businesses is the Aramid Group. And one of the
Mhm.
things that does my heart good is when in mid conversation or mid communication, somebody will be like, "Oh, that's interesting. Does it have a meaning?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm glad that you asked." So, like, what is the derivation of rainwater growth?
Hold on, you set me up. I thought you were about to tell me the meaning of your business name. No, you have to do that first, and then we'll get to rainwater growth. So,
All right,
no.
bet. So the Aramint group is, and it brings tears to my eyes when I really sit in it and think about it. It is a nod to Harriet Tubman. So her birth name is Araminta Ross. And when I thought about what I wanted to name my business, I wanted it to be something that was meaningful, something that was powerful, something that um, was timeless, something that would also ground me in the
Mhm.
moments where business was turning me every way but loose. And so, in thinking about different names early on in my entrepreneurship journey, after quitting my 9 to 5, um, I went through the gamut of names, and a lot of them, truth be told, I felt were like flowery, right? I'm like, oh, that's cute for today, but like, yeah, no, like it doesn't really pack a punch like I wanted to. And so, interestingly enough, around the time, so I left my 9 to 5, I left the FBI in 2019, May of
Mhm.
2019, and had to have been late 2020 when the movie Harriet came out. And
So it
so,
was
of
like
course, I wanted to see it, like for the culture, like we had to go see it in the movie theater. And so, one of the things that stuck out to me was some of the things that I was learning for the first time, truth be told. And one of those things was like her birth name. And of course, in the movie, like they end up calling her Minty for short. And so it was the perfect
that's
storm
unique.
of timing and a need for something that was meaningful, and the fact that I was building a business that was focused on leadership development.
Mhm.
So, I mean, if there is a leader in history, right, to admire, to study, to think about, you know, when life be life in, when leadership is leadership in, like why not her? And so that's
Yeah.
kind of where just my brain and the way that I process information, like that's the rabbit hole it took me down. And I was just like, yeah, when I think about wanting to quit, she didn't, so I can't. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
when I think about the name, it packs that
It
punch that
gives
might
you
not hit anybody else, but it gives it to me because I
right.
know at the beginning and the end of the day what the name comes from. And I'd be doing her legacy a disservice to have the audacity to name my business in honor of her and then be around here, just giving up, when the
Right.
going gets tough. So thank you, O, for asking me that. I don't get the
Yeah.
question too often, but when I do, it takes me there.
Oh, you set me up. You put it out there, and I said, "Okay, I need to know this." So go ahead, because I think I kind of read it somewhere, but I'm like, it's not fresh on my mind, so I need to know. And you set it up so well. So I didn't have like it was no big grand story like that for me. But no, I had been wanting to do a training company for like 10 years. So I had all kinds of names and they weren't flowery. They were more like OEL Enterprises kind
Okay.
of names, right? Like, very generic, very standard. And at the time that I actually did start a business, it actually was about 6 months before I actually finally hit the button because I had the form. I actually had the original form and it almost was like I was thinking about something probably because I like rain, I don't know, and I like plants. I was thinking about something and it just kind of dawned on me that this would be the best name for my company, Rainwater Growth. At the time it was three, it was rain, space, water, space, growth,
Okay.
right? But eventually by the time I actually did hit the button and submit it, it was one word, but it's because when you think about rain, right? When people think about rain, everyone except for me, when they think about rain, usually they're like, ah, man, it's raining. And they're kind of bummed out. They don't really appreciate it. They don't think about all the good things that rain does and how essential it is to us.
Mhm.
But the rhyme we learned when we were little, April, I forgot it now, but is it March flowers bring April showers bring
April
March, something
showers
like that.
bring May flowers.
That's it. I actually typed it up for something else I was doing, but rain is what helps us grow. That's what helps our plants grow. When we have a drought, we're sad. We're not like, oh, I hate rain. Then we really want it to rain. So
Yeah.
just like rain is something that we don't always think is essential, but it's something that is critical and helps us grow. The same thing is true of training. And then too, it's like more. It's more I can't think of the right word, but it's more expensive. It's something that can be used across different things. So even if I did have to pivot at some point in time,
Mhm.
that name was general enough that I could do that.
Yeah.
So that is, kind of where that came from. It's just that, that overlap of how things things that we don't think of as joyful or great are actually sometimes joyful and great.
Yeah.
uh, so that's
I
it.
love that. It definitely gives like serenity. And just thinking about like when you really sit with the words that you have put together to name your business, it's just like, oh yeah, like how gonna take me away? You know what I mean? But then for it to be like married with like tech in a time when there are lots of people who don't consider themselves to be like tech savvy, and knowing that you have been very intentional even from the naming of your company, right, with how you like position and think and talk about the way in which you help others help themselves, and way in the way in which you kind of like relieve that burden of needing to know how to do a thing, whether it's done with you or I'm teaching you how to do it for yourself or done for you, if you will.
Right.
And I know we'll kind of get into some of that stuff a little bit later, but yeah, that's I love that. Oh, thank you for sharing.
Well, so it was an interchange. You shared yours, I shared mine.
For sure, for sure. So in this space that I have curated, so yes, I have the Aramid group, which was, the basis of the story I just told. But when I left my 9 to 5, I felt like I had been assigned divinely by my creator, by my God, by God, right, to start two businesses, if you will, two
Right.
brands. Let's put it that way. One would be corporate facing, supporting emerging and senior leaders from a leadership development, leadership coaching standpoint. The other tentacle, the other brand would be helping those who are feeling the way that I felt in the season where I felt like I was having a mid career crisis, when I felt like I was frustrated. I didn't feel like it. I was frustrated. I was jaded. I was annoyed. I was irritated. I was all of the things, um, and unsettled in my spirit and unfulfilled in life. I know that there were going to be other people feeling that at some point beyond and after me. And I felt a pull to position myself to be able to help them navigate the space that I had just broke through.
Right.
And so it's just like, well, that's a tall order, but so is it when women, are blessed with you know, multiple babies at one time. And so
I
I say
just
that I had business twins in 2019. And yes, it has been very much so interesting and a whole lot to manage. Um, but in that, I spent a lot of time um, at the height of the pandemic because, of course, as we know, I know we're getting further and further away from it time wise, but it's still very fresh in the minds of those of us who were like trying to figure out life as we know it in real time when the pandemic hit. And
mhm.
so I left my job in 2019, May 2019. I took a sabbatical that summer, gave myself the summer off because when else in life will I be able to do that? I didn't know. And so I seized the moment. I had enough financial runway. I was in my coaching certification program at Georgetown. And so I gifted myself the freedom to do nothing but go up and down to
Plans.
DC once a month until I finish this program and just breathe for a moment after spending 12 years as an FBI analyst, doing all the things, having a fairy tale career. And now I have made a decision that most people in my sphere and orbit do not understand. They think I'm crazy, and I understand why they think I'm crazy. Because if I was them outside looking in, I probably would think I'm crazy too. I left my good government job, my six-figure salary to go and be a life coach. It sounds crazy, but like Michael Todd said, it's only crazy until it happens. And look at us now. I,
Yeah, I
I
actually was thinking, like, being on like, meeting all these people in Alignable and just being tossed in with all these people who have made all these changes. It's just like, you know, I was just telling a friend earlier today, I was like, yeah, it, I don't know. I don't want to hijack. Let's finish talking about what you're about to say.
Listen, there's more of that to come. Oh, because I'm telling you, I listen. Oh, so yeah, so there's that, right? So that's how Danielle the coach came to be. And
Mhm.
so why I have this platform that Ask Me How I Know with Danielle the coach is because it's a common thread that goes along with what I was saying about how I wanted to position myself as a life coach to help other career professionals who hit that wall having a mid-career crisis, help them navigate that space and figure out what's next, especially if they had a leniency towards entrepreneurship, because
Mhm.
that's different, right? Different than resume, trying to find another job, a different organization, maybe same organization, different division. It's just a different. It's just different. And
Right.
so having these conversations with this Ask Me How I Know Daniel the coach is extremely it's refreshing, but it's intentionally curated to share with my audience, those who choose to continue to stay tethered to me, real life examples of others who have done the same thing in their own way. And not just that, but also what they're doing, especially if they have businesses of their own, what they're doing in their own businesses. It's Kwanzaa, um, something that has been like heavily on my mind is this theme of cooperative economics, but not just because it's Kwanzaa. It's just like why isn't this the standard? Why isn't and I if I could toot my own horn, I had to be honest with myself. And I said, well, I think you do a good job of it. Is there more that you can do? Absolutely. But the way that I am wired, the way that I show up for my community, the way that I show up for others, without wanting anything in return. Like
Right.
I'm a girl's girl, right? I could be a guy's girl too if I see you doing something, especially being a full-time entrepreneur, and understanding what entrepreneurship takes, whether it's full-time or part-time.
Yeah.
Listen, if I see you out here giving it your best shot and your stuff ain't looking janky, you are beating the drum, I am going to share your stuff. It may not be publicly, it may be in a way where I know somebody has the problem that you solve. I'll just make the connection. You
Mm.
know, I'm not afraid to put some in my stories. I see my people. I want us all to win, and that's just how I show up. So for me, it's like this is always so refreshing when we get to the point where we actually are having this live conversation, right? Because we have our conversations like leading up to it,
Right.
but to be able to share like your genius, share your business, share your wisdom with whomever is watching, and not just right now here with us live, but also whoever may be a part of the replay game, right? Whoever
Right.
may see this a year from now, and they just so happen to find this video on whatever platform, and is exactly like an unspoken an answer to an unspoken prayer. Like that is why I do this. And so
Mhm.
thinking about the going from like corporate to full time on your own and just kind of like knowing what's on the minds of people who are very likely watching us here live, or maybe a part of the replay gang again. Like, tell us a little bit more about your personal pivot story and like how did you get here?
Okay, so like the way I either say it's like either you can have it the positive way that everything came together at once, or you can have it the other way that everything fell apart at
Okay.
once. But um, of course, just like you said, during the pandemic, some things happened, and so I had gotten even before quiet quitting became a thing. I had gotten to a level of frustration with with what was going on. Now, I've always had this training. I've had this training thing in the back of my mind since I think since 2012, 2013, right? But I am the kind of person who likes to make plans. Like if you look at my plan down to age 70, I have, different things. This actually was a path for my plan though. I will mention that. But it was an alternative path. But but I did the thing like you said. At first I was like, well, let me just try something else.
Okay.
So I moved to headquarters, and I was okay for a little while, but no, I did that before the pandemic. So I just wanted to move because I really loved my old job. That was actually how I got introduced to technical training. So I had a
Mm,
project management piece, I had a help desk piece, budget piece. I mean, it was a lot of variety, but I liked it because I like variety. But things change, people change, managers change, and so I decided it was better for me to move 700 miles to Maryland to see what that was about. But the pandemic came, so I'm in this city, I'm by myself. I had some medical things come up, and I
mm,
wanted to go home, and the kind of hoops and things I had to jump through because I wanted to work, right? It wasn't like I was like, I just want to be out for 2 months. I was like, I would
mhm,
like to take my laptop and I would like to do this and the kind of things. And I was like, And then so I had two big things happen that of 2020. And so it kind of put me in quiet quitting kind of a mode because I was frustrated. And I'm someone who really loves my job. And I'm someone who really loves Social Security. Don't start talking bad about Social Security. That's one thing I will fight you over, right? But um so that was going on. I did job shop, right? So I left
mhm,
my home component. My friend talked me into getting into a leadership program, which was something I had said I would never do at the agency. I said I had gone to a management class back in 2012 and said I will never be a manager at Social Security ever in my life. But my friend talked me into it, so I ended up doing it. Found out it was customer service, and I love customer service jobs, right? I did that. I think I was in 3 or 4 or 5 different jobs, in that little period of
mhm.
time, and it just wasn't it like, the agency had changed so much, even though, like, okay, the laws are still the same, like, PUMS, whatever, still says the same thing,
Yeah.
but the agency and their focus, like, we had went from being number 6 to being number 17 on best places to work, so we were 17 out of 17 at the time that I left, and I really wanted to do this training thing. And then there was this little software program that came out in 2022. Well, I had heard about it, but they were like, no, this is a little bit, they're not going to release this out to the public. So they released ChatGPT out to the public, right? In November 20, I think it was November 2022. And I was like, if I'm ever
Mm,
gonna do a
mm.
training company, this technology, I'm not gonna be able to wait this 5 years because you might wanna wait it out, whatever else, so I can get that good pension, everything.
Right.
Everything, but I was like, if I don't do this now, there won't be an opportunity to start a training company because this technology is gonna be so disruptive. It's gonna change everything. And so if I wanna do this, I want to do it now. And all the other confusion that was going on just gave me that extra push and that incentive because I actually did. Had said I was going to quit, and then I was like, no, 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 I'm going to go back. And I decided to do something else. And then by the end of the year, I was going to do the business on the side. And ethics
Mm,
was like, that's really nice that you like to do that on the side, but you can't sell anything. So in December, I said, and I decided to start the business, and it's actually been like of all and I've heard people say that you regret the things that you don't do more than you regret the things you do, right? And
mm,
I don't know if I've ever felt it was just like this has been one of the most amazing opportunities, and I was like, I am so glad. Now, I'm not glad about the bad things that have happened since then, but
right.
I am so glad that I took this chance. And I was like, at first, like the first 6 months, I was doing the absolute wrong thing and kicking myself, like, why didn't I do this 10 years ago? Right. When I first had the
Mhm,
idea, that was my first
mhm.
thought was like, why didn't I do this? Especially, when I was a little bit more flexible and better health.
Yeah.
But it's just been amazing. Again, like going back to like I finally got convinced to get on the lineable. So the number of people that I'm meeting and the kinds and just listening to their stories, it's just been so amazing and such a good just to be exposed to something else other than what we're spoon fed. Like you said, that people say you do this, these are your roles. To learn this additional option has been a great um, I don't know the right word, but it's been good. How about that? I'll just use my simple word. I'm done.
You know,
Oh,
you said two things that I love. It was the quote around you regret the things you don't regret the things that you do as much as you regret the things that you didn't. Is that
mhm.
it?
Yeah.
Did I say it right?
Yeah. I mean, well, I don't know. I probably did misquote it, but that's the essence of the quote.
It's okay. I think we were all in the same boat. But no, I think that that is something that is so like poignant because that's something that I actually have asked myself a couple of times when I've been in a space of preparing to make a life-changing decision. And in hindsight, it's always been I asked myself I've asked myself this question at pivotal moments. They're pivotal moments now that I am far removed from it, but in the moment, it's just like, what am I going to do? But one of the questions that I ask myself is like, if I look myself in the mirror years from now, am I going to be proud of the decision that I'm making right now? So that's one of the questions. And that never fails to light a fire under me. But then the other thing is, when my day and my hour comes, will I look back and wonder what if I had made whatever decision is at play right now, right? And will I regret taking it to my grave? That's another thing that has lit a fire under me. And like that was the headspace that I was in when I was seriously considering like how successful I might be if I worked as hard for myself in a business of my own as I do for my employer. So as soon as you said that, it just took me right back to 2018, sitting at that desk being miserable, my 2 hour commute each way, and
Ooh,
just like
yeah.
making great money, but like not even enjoying it, like just not even enjoying life. That was just my gosh, what a time, what a time. But that series of decisioning led us to this moment right here and right now because all we have is the present, right? So if I
Yeah.
had made those decisions, I might not even know you, oh, right? Like because I might be on a different path. Something else that you said was, um, and I hear this sometimes from professionals that find me or that I'm fortunate to cross paths with in doing this work that I do. Um, as the six figure quitter. I haven't even talked about, or shown the book. So if you're watching and you're new to me, I'm new to you. I'm author of The Six Figure Quitter, The Entrepreneur's Guide to Transitioning Out of Your 9 to 5 Without Regret, which is available at thesixfigurequitter.com. And what I find is that some people are just like you. I love what I do. I love my job, right? But there is something that is calling or tugging them, or keeping them up at night, that won't let their soul rest because they are being called to more. How much of a how hard was it for you to make that decision when you made it?
It was, I mean, it was kinda difficult because I'm the I'm known to be the responsible one. Like I said, I have a plan. Went down to, "Okay, this is what I'm going to do," this is what I'm gonna do that. I'm very much a person who likes to plan, a person who likes to have everything straightened out. I did have a cushion, I had a runway, I had all this, but it still was a lot, right? It still was something I had never done before. I
Mhm.
did actually, like you said, I had people to say really strong language to me about the wisdom of my path in making that decision. But at the same time, I actually had examples. I had a coworker who drove his truck to a bridge and jumped off. So I was like, that's not the path I want to take right there, because
Wow.
things had gotten a little bit different. Like I said, at the agency. But I was like, well, I can do this. And of course, not knowing what was going to happen in 2025 with the election, 2024 with the election, I was like, well, everyone else takes a sabbatical. How unreasonable is it for me to take a year off and do something I've always wanted to do? That was my logic. I was like, how unreasonable is it for me to take a year off to do something that I've always wanted to do? And then I have friends, like I have friends. I didn't, some bridges I did kind of get them, but most bridges are still there. I didn't take a match to burn them. So, that was a path for me to go back. I still know how to do the things I know how to do, right? So I'm
Yeah.
employable. So why not just take this year off? Like, with me and my what's it, calculated risk, right? So because project management, we calculate risk. So looking at that, I was like, this is not unreasonable. And why stay here? I had read a book similar to you. Didn't know you yet, so I didn't read your book, but a book, I think it's Annie Duke, Quit, called Quit, and it's talking about
Okay.
where you know that you're 100% sure how you're gonna feel if you stay here. So why not?
Hmm.
I would say roll the dice. So I don't encourage people to gamble, but roll the dice and look at, you have a 50% chance of it being better if you go do something else. So go try to do something else, right? So that was, like looking at that. And actually, I like I said, I have like plans and house and everything out there. So why not? Why not? Like I said before, if I didn't do it, just like I didn't do it 10 years ago, then I'd be like,
Hmm.
oh, what would have happened? Because about I'm gonna bring me back, but I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go off course here. But
Yeah.
back when SharePoint was really big, and a lot of people left the agency, a lot of us who were really into SharePoint, really good at SharePoint, I actually a particular company was trying to get me to leave. So I told you I love Social Security. People trying to get me to leave. And I was like, no, no, no. I need to help the people, elderly, disabled. Come on. I need to help. And I didn't leave, right? When all
Yeah.
those people left. And so looking back, like, looking back at that then, or looking at the training path. So why not go ahead and do this now and not have that I lost all my thought because we started talking about SharePoint. SharePoint gets me excited. My
No,
brain.
it's okay. It's okay. But you said something that's a perfect segue into my next question. So, what's entrepreneurship been like for you? So, you did your risk assessment. The math was mathing, and you were like, hey, like, let's do this. So, what's
Yeah.
it been like for you?
It's been different, right? It's been a lot. It's been different because I have had examples, right? But not of examples doing what I'm doing. Like my dad and my parents, like when I was little, which I guess that also gave me the encouragement. My parents, if they're watching, they're gonna be like, mm. But when I was younger, my parents um, started a home improvement business, right? When I was in middle school, they had a home improvement business. So I had seen that. My
Mhm.
grandfather, when I was even younger than that, he's bought a service station, quit his job, and started running a service station. So I had seen business. So I
Wow.
had an idea that it was a thing that people do. It wasn't a thing that people like me do, but it was a thing that I've seen other people do. So I had an idea about it, but they weren't doing training. And so it's not been it has not been the same. And it's a lot harder, hey, fix my pipe if my water is leaking.
Yeah.
That's really obvious. Hey, let me show you how to really use Outlook. Not so much. So having
Right.
that challenge of getting people to understand the need for service. And then also, even though I like working independently, I'm also used to having a team. Having a
Mm.
team out there. So, oh, I don't feel like talking on the telephone. Hey, don't you like talking on the telephone? Here's some phone call. Like having people, like you said, to cooperate with. And so that's been really big on
Yeah.
something that I have tried to focus on is finding a community, having someone to just talk to about what's going on. Like when a bad customer does something crazy to you, to have someone, do you know what Cindy did?
Mhm.
Having a good conversation about that, just like you would have a conversation about when something goes off at work and you have your work buddy that you go on a walk with and you go get coffee
Mhm.
so that you can talk about the crazy thing that happened. So not having that has been a challenge in trying to rebuild that sort of same type of community um, with people and be able to relate because I don't have that I don't have that, even though I have those examples, I really don't have the language. I don't have anything like it's just almost like I had to jump into a different country, learn a different language, learn, learning all
Mhm.
these I like learning, so that's worked out. But it's been a lot. And then also, like, I'm used to having a certain amount of money being deposited in my account every two
Say
weeks.
that.
And so not having that, not having that, direct deposit, it's been different. And so having to make some choices, right? But I was just telling someone else this morning, it's like, well, you choose what your problems are. I think Mark Manson in his book about, well, I can't say what the name of his book is, but in that book where I came out with, he was like, you're going to have problems, right? No matter where you
Mhm.
are, but you get to choose what your problems are. And so, do I want to be working in an environment where people are jumping off of bridges, or people are so stressed, or whatever is going on? Even though I love the mission of the agency, I
Mhm.
love how that. Do I want to work in that environment, or do I want to do something that is really going, like, if I could have stayed in that job in Atlanta RO, where I got to do the training, where I got to do project management, where I got to, well, I don't know about calling these people this, but I got to do, all those different things in budget. That would be a different experience. But it was time. It was time to do something. It was time to do something different. Um, so it's just like making that choice, and what do I want to do? And then again, I think that if I, like you said, when you're, at the end of life, or even in 5 years, uh, when I get to that big birthday, uh, I'm looking back, I'm going to be like, oh, look what I did. Just even, I'm getting distracted, so I'll come back later. But even like, I thought that this year was a bomber. I was like, this year I didn't do this. Now this bad stuff happened. And then when I got ready to um, write my reflection of the year, and I was like, what? I did this, I did this, I did this, I did, like, really, I actually had to take things out of the article because I didn't want to look like I was, jamming things in.
Oh.
So I think that that's a benefit. That's a good, that's, for all the bad that has happened, that's a benefit. That's something that's there. And then I have space. I have space. And that's great too. Um,
Mhm.
but it's been, like I said, it's been different.
I hear
That's the
you.
word I can use. It's
I
been
hear you loud and clear. So let's shift into like skills to pay the bills, which is the title of our live stream tonight. Um, and I want to give context to, like, in this moment on this day, what is happening in our society? What is the lived experience of real people with real lives, with real bills, with real backgrounds as experts and career professionals who have found themselves on the other side of a job by force and not choice in
mm,
2025. Um, Months ago, the number that was being shared ad nauseum was that there were 300,000 Black women who have been displaced from the workforce. I'm hearing now, months later, that we're now close to 500,000. That
mm,
is absurd, and that's putting it nicely. Um, and while I have not experienced that personally firsthand, there are some similarities in experiences, though, being on the other side of the 9 to 5, having a plethora of career professional experience, having expertise in a thing or some things, having a toolkit, having very varied skill sets, and including on top of natural God given gifts and abilities that sometimes we don't even exercise in the space of our 9 to 5. So
mm,
we have all of these things that come with us no matter where we are, even though we sometimes consciously and subconsciously choose to rest on the things that are next to our name on LinkedIn, the things that are associated directly with our current or present title. And so then when the title is stripped away, when the connection to said organization is no longer there, sometimes when we hold that mirror to ourselves, or when we take a good look in the mirror, it's like, well, who am I? And how did I get here? And what is the quickest way for me to right size this boat that just capsized? And although sometimes the by force or by choice, there's two different paths that get us on the other side of the 9 to 5. But when we're on that other side of the 9 to 5, I'm just like, well, what am I going to do? You know, there's the O's of the world that have a plan. They've already done the risk assessment. They have an idea of how they're going to manage and
Yeah, but they
navigate
got
on the
thrown
other
out.
side of the 9 to 5, right? And then it's just like, oh, well, you're on the other side. And then you also mentioned going from having a team in the 9 to 5 setting, right,
Mm,
to now being at some point being a solopreneur, which means now you're wearing a myriad of hats, whether you want to or not, because some stuff has to get done. Somebody's got to do it. And right now, you're the only person on payroll, if you're even on the business's payroll, right?
right?
So there's that. And then there's those who unfortunately have been forced out, and
Mhm.
they're questioning their worth, they're questioning their value, their sanity is uh I don't want to say uncertain, but unstable and at times, and understandably so. Understandably so. But what O and I are here tonight to kind of shine a light on is some of those skills and abilities, and a part of that expertise that we carry with us, and why I know I say I call it a pivot. I call the transition a pivot. I prefer to call the transition a pivot instead of a leap. And it's because when you pivot, there's something that you're always anchored in. And I'm thinking about it in the basketball sense.
Okay.
Your pivot foot stays planted. Otherwise, now you're in violation. Now you're traveling all over the place, right? But one foot has to stay anchored. And the way I see it is that that one foot that cannot move is anchored in all of the things that you have collected and gathered experientially, and as a part of your expertise. And it also includes your natural God-given gifts and abilities and talents and all of those things. They go with you whichever way you, whether you pivot over here, whether you pivot over here, whether you pivot over here. They move with you regardless. And that is something that I don't think enough credit is given to, because we just find ourselves in these jobs and these careers, and we find our little sweet spot, and it's just like, oh, this is what I do, this is who I do it for, and that's it. And it's just like, well, yeah, that was cool, but you are so much more than just
Just
that.
that.
You got skills to pay the bills. So when we talk about that, what would you say from your vantage point and based on your expertise in this tech space as a tech strategist and also a trainer, what would you say are some of the most overlooked and underutilized skills by seasoned career professionals that are actually transferable in businesses of their own?
Okay, so I'm sorry. I mean, just going back to what you said, like the biggest thing that I see as being the the best thing, especially when not just for me, but when I'm talking to other people, is
Mhm.
being a creative problem solver, right? So
Mm.
you most people have developed that skill in whatever. If you're in accounting, accounting makes my eyes gloss over, right? But if you're in accounting and you know how to do accounting, you know how to creatively, because I know there were some budget things, and I just go walk over to Daryl's desk and be like, Daryl, help me, because I had gotten myself into a pickle with the budget. But there are ways to leverage your ability to creatively solve problems and then to be proactive in doing it. Because most of the time, the people who are creme de la creme, I don't know what the right word is, but the people who are our top performers, I'm using poor poor language
Mhm.
here, but
Mhm.
they are the people who are going to be proactive. They're going to go out and look. So using your example, right? You didn't just start. I mean, I'm one business person, but you didn't just start the the big thing that you wanted to do, the leadership coaching or whatever. But you saw that there's a problem. Like, I want to do this, and there's no structure for me. So you went out and said, I'm going to create that structure, right? And
Mhm.
so people have those have been some of the best businesses that the people I've met is when people say, "Oh, there's a problem, let me solve it." And people who are problem solvers, 'cause you need that when you have a business because you have lots of problems.
Mhm.
They're different problems, but you have them. But being able to solve problems and being flexible when you're solving them. So sometimes when we are
Mhm.
in a corporate environment, we like, oh, especially when we have rules and regulations. Social Security Law number 5 says this, right? But you have to be able to be flexible and find different ways to approach things. And so I think that realizing that you have the ability to apply the knowledge that you have, because that's a creative problem, right? That you're solving. You're like, what can I do with this knowledge I have about
Mhm.
accounting or about even with some there's a gentleman who is a scientist. I can't think of the name of the scientist, but a bug, like he studies bugs. But that's still a skill that he can find a way to apply it to something else, right? And
Mhm.
being creative and knowing that through the years that he studied bugs, I've learned this, or I had this problem when I went to the board to present my research, and this is how I overcame it. So you are building, like you said, you're building skills there, and you're building different ways to think of things. And also community. People who are good at building teams and building community are going to go like that famous phrase, you can go fast by yourself, but you can
Mhm.
go far with other people. That's a
Yeah.
paraphrase. It's not right, not the right way to say it.
Yeah.
But so I think that those 2 things, or like there's maybe like 3, and I think you only told me the next one. 1, but being a productive problem solver, and also being flexible. I think I will let those be my 2.
That flexibility, like we got a nice little tag team going on here, because in the spirit of thinking about like being flexible, right? When I think about some of the opportunities that have come my way since I have been on the other side of my FBI career, right? Out here figuring it out by faith every single day. Yeah, I had a plan. Yeah, I had a strategy. I had a
So I said
plan,
my plan. I
right?
had one too, and it went out the
That hey, I have a degree in mathematics, so
me too.
there is no way that I was going to be able to do something um so surmountable without calculating the risk on the front end, right? Just
Right.
as the way my life and my mortgage was set up. Like I had to kind of like think some things through. But while I knew what the big vision was, there was still a trillion steps between where I was and where I felt like I was supposed to be going, right? So
Mhm.
there's that. But in that span of time, so it's been almost about 6.5 years now, there's been a number of like opportunities that have presented themselves. And it's been a matter of me putting my ego on the shelf and leaning into like possibility and rolling up my sleeves and doing something that might seem so simple, might seem so rudimentary, that might seem like why am I even like I'm supposed to be doing this or I'm this, I do that, right? And it's just like those have been such transformative moments for me because it reminds me I'm not a one trick pony.
Hey,
I got skills to pay the bills. I am versatile. I am yeah, I'm teachable and I'm trainable. But even if nobody teaches or trains me on anything, I can come in and be an answer prayer to somebody today with what I know and how I know it because they don't have a clue. And I'll share this story about one way that this kind of came up, in early time that this came up. And this was March of 2020.
right when the pandemic was getting ready to get started. Okay.
Listen, My pastor called me directly one evening and said, so the context, I had started supporting with like the tech ministry at my church. I attend like a small
Mhm.
country church, whatever. And I saw a need, just like you were talking about, you see a problem, we solve problems, right? I
Right.
saw a need. It was something that was like bothering me. And I was like, why don't we have this? And so I was like, you know what? The things that bother us are oftentimes the things that we are supposed to go do something about. That's
Mhm.
just what it is. And so I leaned into that and I started supporting the tech ministry. Now, I give you that background because now my pastor sees me through a tech lens, simply stated, right? If there's a tech problem, oh, Danielle is on the team that can help. So the world is getting ready to shut down, and the pastoral community, I guess, had met with the governor and kind of gotten wind of what was coming, that, hey, this is getting ready to come from on high. We get ready to shut the state down because this thing is serious. And so for him, it's just like, okay, well, what do we do as a church? Like, how do we still connect to the members and all of the things, and even minimally having Sunday service? So he calls me and kind of shares that, and he's like, "You have any idea how we could possibly, like, what we could do, like, on Sundays?" And I was like, "Yeah, have you heard of Zoom?" He was like, "No, I haven't." Oh, look, he said, "No, I haven't." And for me, it's like, what do you mean you haven't heard of Zoom? Right? Like, but because of my lived experience, I knew something. I possessed a skill set and a familiarity with a tool that was getting ready to change how my church
Operated.
had church and
And it
connected.
allowed it to continue.
That the next 5 or 6 months or so, I taught my pastor how to use Zoom. I ended up becoming a producer of Sunday services because that's when Zoom's bandwidth was funny on Sunday because all the churches were getting on Zoom, and we didn't want to risk like being cut off from the stream, so we ended up recording on Saturdays. So now I'm producing Sunday service so that it can just stream and play on Sunday. It's just like, when did I become a producer? Now, granted, this is not something I was doing for pay, but it's a prime example of having skills, possessing skills and abilities that are needed in other spaces.
Right.
As simple as they may seem to us, as much as we may discount them, you just never know who needs what you have. And you don't have to go get a certification. You don't have to go get taught or trained. All you got to do is just show up and share what you know, or just get to work implementing something. Um,
Yeah, I would
Speaking of Zoom again, I just was contacted this morning by somebody in my network that I served as like they call it a tech host, right?
mm,
Basically, it's like a Zoom, I don't want to say a Zoom engineer, but the person that's just behind the scenes on like a webinar or a workshop,
mhm,
just making sure all of the things are working right in Zoom. Somebody in this listserv asked for this kind of like last minute support like over a year ago. And I just happened to be up late one night and I saw the email come through on the listserv. And I'm like, I can do that. Like, I got time. Like, it's whatever. And so I showed up and I just did the backgrounds, and it's night and day for me. Like, I've been on Zoom for years now. You know what I mean?
mhm.
There's still people that don't know the difference between a Zoom meeting and a Zoom webinar. And when you
Right.
got somebody who knows it, do you really need to know? No, you just need the right person who knows how to do
To
what you
come out
need
and
to
help.
do. You know what I mean? And
Right.
so, like, this same group hit me up just this morning, which I thought was so interesting that you and I were going to have this conversation today. I was like, what is this about? And they were like, yeah, we're having another one. Are you available? And I'm like, yeah, why not? Like, if this could take a weight off of you, I got you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I got you. and I'm getting paid for it. So like, let's talk about that.
So
I
that
got the
helps too.
skills to pay the bills.
Right. Like when you were talking about that, what that reminded me of is like when helping, like even in the corporate atmosphere and then outside, like you pick up things because you're like you're helping your friends, you're doing whatever
Yeah,
else. You're helping them as juggle. And so you're learning things too that you can turn around and help someone else with that particular skill that you might
yeah,
not have otherwise done. Even like with the budget stuff, like who knew I was gonna have to do how to do bookkeeping, right? But I started helping my friend who had the budget lead, and so I ended up doing that, and now I do it, even though it has nothing to do really with fixing a computer. But
yeah.
that's something that I have. I don't think I'll do it for anyone else, so
I
but it could.
I started making a list of some of the things, and I know this is not exhaustive, but just some of the things that I have skills that have been transferred over into business for me. So,
Mhm.
like the tech hosting, like I was just talking about, like
Yeah.
running the Zoom in the background, a web development.
Mm.
I spent about 4 years, I think, as a DEI manager at the
Mm.
FBI. I ended up submitting or responding to a call for speakers, an RFP for a DEI symposium a couple years ago. I submitted a workshop for the to respond to the RFP with a workshop. I got invited to be the keynote speaker for the symposium. And it's just like I just dug in my bag because yes, I'm qualified. I have this experience, even though that's not what I necessarily set out to do on this side of the 9 to 5. Like I absolutely am capable and
Exactly.
qualified. Like the only reason
Right.
why I would not be like in the running is because I wouldn't allow myself to. And so like that was another eye opener for me because it's just like, well, yeah, why wouldn't I use that if opportunity is knocking? And that experience like opened up some other doors as well. So marketing, communications plans, project management, training and facilitation, um, to name a few of the things that like just skills,
Right.
sans a title, sans an organization, I can come in and be effective and change your world.
Mm.
Um, just knowing, what I know. And so I shared that because I wanted to give some real time, tangible examples of what is possible when we think outside the box, especially when we're putting together our strategy, putting together our plan, and we're like, this is what I'm doing and this is how I'm going to do it. And if
Mm.
you're anything like me, because if I'm the only one, that's okay. And I think it's okay if I'm the only
Right.
one. But we can be so rigid with the vision that we completely miss opportunity that's right here in the peripheral because we don't give ourselves the permission to just be open to what's possible,
Yeah.
even though
That
we have a strategy and a plan.
Right. I actually that's why I was saying, like, instead of naming a title, I said problem solving because it's not
Mhm.
necessarily what is your particular what's the word I could say? Trade. Not trade is not the right word, but your I
The
can't think of the right
industry.
word. I can't think of the right word. It's
Okay.
gone. It went with the plan that I had. It went down there too. Uh, but even though it's not there, again, there have been people like there was just someone I just met there also lunching something, and they were in a particular business line, but what they're
Mhm.
doing, what they're launching, or even I can let me talk about LP. She was an HR manager, but she's launching a app for housing, right? That's what that's what she's doing, right? So being flexible, and then also valuing yourself. I actually was talking about so we're running out of time, so I'm not going to go into that story. But valuing yourself. That was an example where I had talked to someone else, and charging like triple, well, not triple for the amount of time, but it was like 197 for 25 minutes, and I was charging 190 for 5 hours. So realizing that people value the skill that you have enough. You need to value your skills enough because I was actually doing more than what they were doing in that 25 minutes.
I believe you. I believe you. I believe it so much. I
Uh,
believe it. I believe it. I believe it. So let me ask you this: what would you say makes rainwater growth unique?
One word, community. Right? So,
Mm,
like you said before about I can't say the word right now. R's and W's are not my friends all the time. But when you have, first of all, if I can't do it, right? If someone comes to me and they say, "Hey, tell me about Quicken or QuickBooks," I'll be like, "Haha, not me." But let me introduce you to Rob over here. He can help you.
mhm,
Right, and so knowing that, because some people would be like, "Well, I could figure it out," because I probably could figure it out, but being
mhm.
able to, do that or make introductions, I don't know, so that I think, is people know that I'm not gonna necessarily scam yeah, not necessarily, I'm not gonna scam them at all. I'm not, that's not what I'm gonna try to find the best solution. I'm gonna try to give you a real solution, not a Band-Aid solution, right? If you want a Band-Aid
Yeah.
solution, but that's not really where I am and where I try to go. I'm actually trying, like, even with the SOP, like one of the things I would provide is like, let's identify how you can automate. The other person wasn't doing it. They was just like, here, give me my money and here's your directions. So so it's the community piece. I really do think it's community and quality.
Mm. So you kind of just just shine a quick light on something that I think makes you unique as a person, as a human. Oh, and I want to take a moment. You did not know anything about this, but to celebrate and congratulate you on being named, I think it's Connector of the Year, on in the Barter Black community, and
Okay.
which is actually the platform that is the reason for us crossing paths and us knowing each other. So congratulations to you on showing up in that space in that community in such a powerful way, that of all of the people that are on the platform, like you have been named for 2025 connector of the year. So I think that's really first of all, I think it's so accurate. Who better than you? But congratulations on that.
Well, thank you. That was actually like a little surprise though, because I'm like, I don't, I don't feel like I'm as active as I could be on, in the
Please.
Honor Black. So I was like, oh, really? But I'll take it. I'm not going, I'm not gonna be like, here, take it back. I protest this because no, I was like, thank you.
So speaking of Barter Black, we met on that platform. What would you say? Like, what's your take on leveraging you, one's own skills in business versus paying someone else to fill a gap for us?
Well, actually, I can go back to what you were saying before. It's not what I had thought about talking about, but what you said before, being flexible. And that's one thing that I appreciate about Nicole is that she was like, well, if you have something, even if it's not your, again, I don't know the right word, if it's not your
Mhm.
trade or if it's not the thing that you do, but you have the ability to do something else, right? So one of the first things I was going to work on Black Video, Barter Black, was video editing, because when you do training, you do video editing,
Okay.
right? And she was like, hey, this is not project management. While we brought you on the platform, we brought you on the platform for project management, but this is a skill that you have and other people need that skill. And so
Yeah.
being flexible, but it's just a great concept of, working together. The thing that you said about cooperative, that's the word, cooperative economics, that you brought up earlier when you talked about that you're in this community and you're able to help each other out. And sometimes we do get, oh, I have to do it by myself, or I'm here and I'm by myself, or I don't want anyone else to know that I need this help. Right.
Hmm.
Uh, so, and it's a good community. I'm like, yes, Yvonne Tate is like my mentor goals, and like, just like she is like the my, like, I'm like, I want to be like that when I grow up. um because every time I talk to her, she actually just it was off platform. We did actually work together off platform, but she gave me, like, I needed some help with identifying what, like you said, I knew, because I want to automate everything. I always want to,
Hmm.
like, if I do something twice, I'm like, okay, is a way I can automate this. And sometimes, but you have to be careful about what you automate. And so I was like, so what things should be automated and which things should be farmed out to someone else? And so we just had a conversation and she walked me through and was like, okay, so I came up with 4 things, because I was about to bring somebody on to do things. And then something happened. There was a delay and I just ended up automating it because I was just like, I'm just going to automate this. So we had a conversation and she, really we talk through it because sometimes you need someone to talk through things. And so going through that and just talking through like just real things about life and eating away from your computer. That's like if I remember nothing else, like she reminded me to eat away from my computer because I will sit there and go as I stuff my face in front of my desk. So that community of people and just people who are trying to help each other and trying to why not trade your trade on those skills that you and it's orderly the way that Nicole has it set up because a lot of people are like, well, if I do this and this is a $1,500 uh, you know, service. I don't want to help this person who's doing this $50, so you have that she's set up that platform in a way that people don't necessarily feel like they're being um disadvantaged by trading or by bartering. And so I think that
Mhm.
is a wonderful concept. And so it's good that I just bumped into her again. I was going to something. The person who invited me didn't even show up, but I got to meet, I got to see her speak. And so that's how I got introduced to the platform.
Wow, wow. Now, what I don't want to gloss over is the crux of like rainwater growth, right? We talked around like you being a tech strategist, you offering training, right? Share with us some specifics on like the kind of trainings that rainwater growth offers and the type of uh I guess tech strategy that
Mhm.
you are like the go-to in answered prayer for.
Oh, okay. So, basic training, a lot of times people don't know what they don't know, right? They don't know that their software has all this different functionality. Going back to your example of Zoom, right? There are people out there who don't only use the basics of Zoom, right? They're only using just out of the box Zoom and they have a Microsoft 365 subscription, right? And
Mhm.
Microsoft 365 includes Teams, right?
Mhm.
Do they need Zoom, right? So just simple things like that, or it may be something that's inside a particular program. I give the example of a friend that I have going off kilter a little. Ooh, off kilter a little bit. I just did something weird with my computer, but I gave the example of she was putting something together and she took all weekend to do something had she known that PowerPoint was a 5-minute fix, right? So I'm there to prevent people from doing things like that. So you know, those type of things. So your general operations, this is how you do it. Step one, step two, step three. But also going back to that, overall strategy is let's take a look. Let's look at what IT stuff you have. Let's take a look at what software you have. Let's
Mhm.
look at where there's overlap, right? For instance, if people are big in Canva, maybe they don't need something else because Canva now has documents and spreadsheets, right? So just looking at the overlap, trying to make sure you take out what you don't need. If it's
Yeah.
something that I can't help you with, if it's CRM, I'm going to refer you out because that is not my thing. If it's beyond the basics, that's not me. There's somebody else who's going to help you for cheaper and quicker, right? So I'm going to send you over to that person. So just looking at that overall tech strategy, helping people come up with where they have overlap, what they can cut out. Um, Also going into the tech not tech, digital well-being piece is helping people to put their phones down, right? I believe in technology. Like I used to have tech enthusiasts on my thing, but you need to put the phone, you need to actually put the phone down sometimes, right?
Yes.
You need to, to learn those settings on, like, for instance, right now we're talking. So my do not disturb on my computer is on. So I'm not seeing all the emails and all the text messages pop up on my screen. So taking advantage of that functionality of our software as well. So, it's kind of like it sometimes
Mhm.
doesn't seem like it all fits together, but it does when you look at the whole picture. Ask me a specific question so I can answer the question that you want me to answer because I think I didn't answer your question.
No, you did. You did, but I want to reiterate what I think I heard, and it's that, and I'm glad that you said this. Like, if it's not the basics, then I don't support you with anything beyond like the basics. And so I think that is actually genius because there are a lot of people that just are they self-identify as not being tech savvy. and
Mhm.
even the basics overwhelm them. And so knowing like that is your niche. How do
Mm.
you describe the person that is like the ideal client for rainwater growth?
Someone who is feeling overwhelmed by their tech, or someone who is, doing a lot of manual work. If they're doing a lot of manual work, they're doing copy and pasting or uploading, downloading, that type of thing. Uh, Someone who doesn't have their work documented, because that's the biggest thing. Even with time management, you have to write down, well, not write down. I'm a big thing of my favorite tool is this right here. It's a pen. I'm a big advocate of writing down and documenting what you have out there, because by doing that, then you're able to see the scope of the problem and you're able to attack it. Like you say, you eat that elephant one spoon at a time. You're able to do that. But if you don't even know what it is and you're just touching, like, the expression of this man thought it was a snake because they pulling the thing, like, if you're all over the place
Yeah,
because you don't have a good idea. But someone who's going to be overwhelmed, not sure where to start, if they feel afraid, because I really do feel sad when people say they're afraid of tech, because people are using their cell phones and their computers all day long, and they have, somehow they have gotten, um I don't want to say brainwashed, but they've gotten, they gotten
conditioning.
this
Mhm.
insecurity about using technology. And it's not, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. I mean, you set up backups in place, like, the example I give in Excel is like, you always make a copy before you start making changes, right? So you do take those precautions, but there's no
Yeah.
reason to be escape. There are very few things that you can't undo when you've done them, if you've taken those proper precautions. And so letting people feel comfortable, even with automation, right? And I'm gonna calm down because I get excited about automation, but I'm gonna stay
You
calm.
know,
But
this is your lane. You're good.
even with the automation, right? People were like, "Well, I'm not tech. I don't want to do like the low code, no code automation." I'm not talking about the newer, energy
Yeah.
intensive, environmentally destructive, other kind of issues, kind of automation. But even with your deterministic automation, most of the time they have templates. So all you have to do, like if you're going to use a Power Automate, you just say, "Oh, I have this, I have this, and I have this," and you have what you need, right? And so there's no need to be afraid, because you can just go in and use that template. They're going to give you a guidance. And even now with some of that generative AI, it will say, "Bobby, you need to add Y to that field." So it's giving you even
Mm,
more of a safety net when you're going there. Most creating a rule, like, there are people, like you said, people don't know about Zoom. Like, there are people that don't know you can create rules in Outlook, right? So you go and you click and you say, "I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do that." But people have to know, and then they have to
yeah.
they have to get their hands dirty, because sometimes people, they're so afraid they're gonna break something, they're afraid to get their hands dirty. So, look, before Microsoft started going down the road of, how Google was "Don't be evil," and then they kinda, took that off and erased it, and, we won't say whether or not they're being evil now. But Microsoft is making different decisions now, but they had the free version of Power Automate that if you had a Microsoft account, you could do it. So what I used to encourage people to do is go out there and get that free account and start playing with it, like, before you start doing your corporate, start playing with that free Microsoft Power Automate account and start testing things out, because there's some simple things, like when I get an email, like, let's say with this, like if I automatically got an email about "You've got skills to pay the bills," I know that this goes in that folder, and I automatically send an email out, right? Based on that email. You can do so many things, and you don't have to know how to do coding. It helps. Like, that's why I always used to tell people, I was like, "Oh, I gotta be really careful now because I'm about to start talking about SharePoint." But that's why I used to tell people about with SharePoint, like, yes, SharePoint is, you can do a whole bunch. Like, if you know HTML, if you know how to JavaScript, and you know how to code, you have more
Mhm.
tools in your box, but you don't have to have all those tools to take advantage of this technology, right? This
Yeah.
technology is powerful on its own. I know people are out here SharePoint haters, and I don't know what's wrong with them, but SharePoint, you have, it is a powerful tool. And so with just, if you know how to use Word, you know how to use SharePoint. and go ahead and take advantage of that and get your information out, do whatever you're trying to do. And then once you get comfortable with that, then you can layer a little bit something else on. And then you layer a little bit something else on. And all of a sudden you look up and you're like, oh, I did this, right? Some of the best solutions. That's actually one thing I actually do for the good and for the bad. Because again, I with the SharePoint background, I remember SharePoint sprawl, but with generative AI, you're putting that technology closer to the people to make those creative problems, those creative problem solvers. So people who don't feel like they're technical or whatever, they have those tools now, and they can start creating those solutions that that really solve their problems. But they're also going to just start creating a whole bunch of apps, and we're going to have app sprawl. But that's a different problem that I don't know how to address, because that was actually something someone was like, "Can you help me with this? I want to vibe code this," and I was like, "That functionality is built into 3 of the apps you already have. Like, you don't have to create a new application for that. It's already there.
Mm.
You just." So people are going to, I think that some people are going to just start creating apps, not realizing that they already have that functionality.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are really powerful solutions that people need. Like that was something we saw with the Power Platform, because it democratized the ability to build applications, that people start building applications that really met their needs, and versus having to come to, the IT shop, even though, we all want job security, but instead of having people come to the IT shop, they were able to build their solution. And maybe after they built the prototype, they gave it to someone who has a little bit more technical capability to kind of clean it up. But seeing, that whole example of, like, you can tell me you need this, and that's kind of like, I am getting distracted, I'm going to come back. But that's kind of the importance. Like, that's why I give people 4 hours of requirements, right? Because I need to make sure that I really understand, because I can give you, if you say one sentence and I can give you exactly that, but unless I question and I find out and I just quiz you, I'm not going to necessarily know. And I want to actually solve your problem. I don't want to
Yeah.
necessarily just give you a solution. I mean, I'll take your money, but I prefer to give you a solution that's actually going to solve the problem, or point you in the direction, because maybe the solution that I can give you is not the solution you really need, based on what I'm hearing about what your problem is. And so that's
Yeah.
something that's really important. And that goes back to why people will still stick around, because they know that I will tell them, yeah, it's not me. You need to go over there to Bob. you know, if they come to me with a particular problem.
Yeah. I can hear your passion like coming through like everything that you just shared.
Yeah,
And I
I was
think
about to get carried
sometimes
away. I was
that
coming down.
it hits different when in the world that we live in now, the society that we live in, where like most of everything is tech driven or has a tech back end. And it's easy for a lot of people to offer help and support, but they really just want to take your money. But then you have people like who genuinely and sincerely care about helping you solve your problem or your problems, because it's probably more than one. And it's not there, yes, for a fee, yes, your gifts are making room for you, yes, absolutely, for a fee. um but at the end of the day, like there's like the trustworthiness, um and clients who become repeat clients because they know that push comes to shove, like, really cares. Like, I think that speaks volumes about who you are, like, and how you show up, and why people continue to come back to you. So if I heard you right, and putting it in my words,
Mm,
you help your clients simplify business and solve business problems using tech.
yeah. It, as one of the tools, because I also actually look at the entire process. But yeah, that's it. That is at one point, that was actually my phrasing, was technology assisted support. It was technology assisted support, because even though tech is a tool, like, and I will, now that is a soapbox I will get onto like forever, but that's a tool. And so it's one of many tools that we have, right?
I
That's why
got
we
you.
go back and say how everything is tech driven now. It's a tool, right? It's a tool.
Mhm.
Like, when people Yeah, I have to calm down because that is something that I will, I will be standing up on the desk and be like, and this and this. My mom was watching me do an interview for something else. She was like, "Yeah, you really did get on your soapbox." Yeah, I was just thinking to myself, "You need to calm down. You need to calm down."
But let me ask you this: Do you offer like tech stack audits?
That is something I'm looking at doing because people keep asking me for it. And when
Okay.
they say if people ask you for something, even like what you said, you have to be open to opportunity.
Yeah.
But like the way that I've been doing, like before, has been you're already coming to me asking me to solve something else. And while we're solving that something else, I'm doing that as a part of the service.
I
Like I
got
said,
you.
I like tossing in like other people are like, this is a separate service and this is additional, so I need to kind of jump on that that train.
Well, listen, I'm here to tell you, and the reason why I asked is because I felt like I heard that in how you were describing what you do and who you do it for, but I didn't hear it packaged that way. And I'm like, is this if this is not an offer? Oh, package it up. But I also saw um, somebody online today was talking about how like they just kind of like maybe they went through like their tech stack and got rid of like $500 worth of stuff that they're like that they don't need. Oh,
Mhm.
you out here saving the business's money. Oh, I'm gonna need you to get that on Barter Black. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
actually
goodness.
that's
So,
what a accountant was telling me that like because I haven't been partnering with no, it's not accounting, bookkeepers. I haven't been
okay.
partnering with bookkeepers, but he was like, you probably need to partner with bookkeepers because this is something I run into all the time, but I don't have the ability to. Yeah, I can tell you need to get rid of some of these subscriptions, but I don't have the ability
Yeah.
to go in and see which subscriptions you need to get rid of. So I guess that's an action item. Do I need to write this down? You already told me I need to join some chambers, which I still
I
hadn't
am
mentioned.
not giving you work, ma'am. I'm just listening. Like the hey, but two of them
No, I
won't
mean,
come
but
in.
that's how you find out things. I just moved my desk, I'm sorry. But
You're fine.
that's how you find out, you have to listen, right? You have to listen to what is being, I can't think of what the right word is, but you have to listen. You have to have open ears, and a open mind to new opportunities and
Yeah,
also
I think that's a telling not a telling, but I think that's like a sitting duck for you that might not be so obvious from your vantage point because you see it the way that you see it, right? But then there are just even like the post that I saw earlier, and even knowing conversations that I've had with my C like I met my CPA this month, and I was just like, so how much is my expenses a month? Like, am I reading this right? She's like, yeah. I'm like, I thought I cut some stuff out. You know what I mean? And so it's just like, yes, we amass things over time because we are slowly piecemealing, and then we look up years later and we have this big monstrosity of a back end, some of us. And it's just like, well, do I need all of that? Am I even
yeah,
using this? Is has somebody's tool now evolved and been
to have
enhanced
that
and
functionality.
now has something that I don't need to be paying for twofold? O would be able to tell me that at first glance. Whereas with me, I gotta be tinkering and stuff and wearing different hats. So I definitely see that as a value add, even like you said, I think partnering with CPAs is genius. If they have clients that have like lots of expenses for different things. And if they ever say, I really got to sit down and do like, hey, just offer me up. I can come
Right.
in and dive into their back end and make it make sense for them and give them something for them to make the executive decision on what stays or what goes based on my recommendation. Oh, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Listen, this has been such a treat for me. What's next for you in Rainwater Grove?
So, actually, you kind of almost segue directly into it. I want to focus because I enjoy the training so much, and I've been focusing so much on training.
Yeah.
As I mentioned to someone else earlier, Eventbrite just got sold, so I'm kind of worried. That's why I get the majority of my customers. So I want
Wait,
to
it did?
concentrate. Yeah, it got sold. So I want to focus a little bit more on by the people it got sold. It got bought by the people who bought Meetup. So you see how Meetup went, and so uh I want to focus more on the consulting side of the business and try to come up with at least to gain at least two additional clients on a monthly basis to help them with their system strategy, right? So that is like one big thing. And then I had such a great time chatting with Alicia, I mispronounced her name, Alicia Powers at Car Harmonic. See, I said it right. And so I want to resurrect my guest speaker series, but I want to do it more like what we're doing now as a
Okay.
conversation.
Okay.
uh, because when I did the guest speaker series, it was more of a more because I'm a trainer, so it was more training.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, but I had so much fun when Alicia and I had our conversation that I want to do that, and instead of just when I meet somebody, hey, it seems like you'll be a good person, or some people, all these people I already know, right? And
Mm-hmm.
bringing that and having that conversation, because like what you said, sometimes even if you're not talking about the product that they have, people just knowing the person and getting to know them and knowing their values will be enough.
Got it. How can viewers contact and keep in touch with you?
So follow the company LinkedIn page. I like to tell people that my personal LinkedIn page is my personal LinkedIn page. But if you don't mind getting out random stuff, like if you want to see a post about Batman, by all means, follow me on my personal page too. But you won't. I said the wrong thing, so now I gotta call 'em.
You
But,
good? Mhm.
yeah, but I don't post as much about the business on my personal page. I do occasionally, but the company LinkedIn page, I also subscribe to the monthly newsletter or follow the Eventbrite page. But if you follow the company LinkedIn page, you're gonna be able to get all those things. So I'm not, I'm happy if you subscribe, but I'm also okay if you just follow in one place because you still will get the same information. You won't get the discounts, but you don't have to have that.
I got you. So that's the rainwatergrowth.eventbrite.com is
Where all the training classes are listed.
so she has
And
a number of training classes already scheduled for like the new year. So
mhm.
if you're picking up what Ola's been putting down, check her out on Eventbrite, rainwatergrowth.eventbrite.com. Her main website is rainwatergrowth.com. And you had one more thing you wanted to drop. I'll drop the link, but you could talk about it.
Oh, I actually we didn't talk about it, but it was the SOP starter. We didn't talk about it as much, but the SOP starter kit, because again, I did talk about this. The important thing is writing these things down and documenting. And once you document, then you're able to identify, because I really like automation. You're able to identify areas for automation. You're able to identify bottlenecks, right? So maybe you don't realize why this is taking so long or why this is happening, but once you write these things down and you document them, then you're able to um, get a holistic view. And sometimes we try to keep everything up here. I'm guilty of it too. Sometimes we keep everything up here, but once we write it down, we're able to get a better overview. And then once you create this SOP, then you're able to hand more things off, right? And that takes a load off of you because you're in a position to hand things off. Whereas if you don't have documentation, it's a lot harder. You'd be like, I think I do this and I think I do this, or you think something is a lot easier because you've been doing it all the time. You're like, oh, that only takes 5 minutes. But for someone who hasn't been doing it, it might take an hour and a half. So, writing it down and having the documentation. So that's like a SOP starter kit that people can use to get started if they haven't already documented their operating procedures. And I'm in my acronym zone. Sometimes in the government we use acronyms. So standard operating procedures.
Right.
So your instruction guides. That's another way of saying it, is instruction guides for helping your employees or the people that you contract out to know how to do the things that you do so that you can concentrate on something else.
Got it. Got it. Come on, come through. Oh, with the gifts for the for our viewers. If you're viewing live, I dropped all the links, especially the link to the starter kit, which was a little bit longer, but it's up on the screen. So if you're catching the replay, just hit pause so you can grab all of that and go grab her SOP starter kit. And last but not least, if you happen to be new to me, I am Danielle the Coach. I can be found at daniellethecoach.com. The book, The Six Figure Quitter, The Entrepreneur's Guide to Transitioning Out of Your 9 to 5 Without Regret, is available at thesixfigurequitter.com. If you grab it there, in the near future, I will personally sign it and send it to
Oh,
you. I don't
hold
know
on.
what's
No, I
up.
was just like, hold on. I was gonna go get my copy so I can show it too. I'll be right back while you're talking.
Okay, okay. I don't think that I'm gonna be doing signatures once I get rid of this last bit of inventory that I have. So if you want a signed copy of the book, head to the6figurequitter.com and grab yours there as well. And I will put it in the mail and send it your way. This has been an awesome moment to connect with O, who is sharing her gifts and her expertise with like the world in a unique way, but also continuing to figure out this thing called entrepreneurship, like one day at a time. So, oh, thank you so much for joining me. I know we went in. These typically don't go this long, but that's okay. Sometimes,
I was like,
sometimes
yeah.
it
I
just
was
gets
thinking
good.
we were gonna cut over, and I didn't find. I wanted to stay away for so long. You see, my hair's all disheveled, but I couldn't find it. I was like, "Cause I got it," cause I was like, "Oh, I could show
No,
it,"
it's
and
okay.
now I
It's
can't find
okay.
it.
It's okay. Oh, it's
But
a thing with the six figure quitter family for sure, for sure. All right. Oh, any last words?
no, I just one, thank you for allowing me to come and share your audience, and I'm here to help. That's actually what I say. I was like, I'm here to help. That's what I do. I like helping people and
Is
helping.
that your tagline?
No, because okay, so I'm not gonna stay that distracted. But there was a certain president in 1980s that says when anyone from the government says we're the government and we're here to help, that's like the scariest thing ever.
Oh
So
God.
so I like to work for the government. I'm like, yes, I want to terrify you. I used to be from the government and I'm here
Mm.
to help. So
Oh Lord.
uh
Okay, we gotta find another tagline for you then.
but I mean that is I actually do. I enjoy helping people, and I
Yeah,
think that we all benefit. Like the person who helps benefits, and the person that's helped. Because when you tackle a thorny problem, it also helps you. You helps you learn something too. So,
sure. Sure,
yep.
sure,
But
sure.
I have nothing else to say. I'm done
No,
talking.
you're good.
Uh,
All
but
right.
we had fun. It was great. It was all right. So yeah.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you. Oh, thank you for those who are here with us live. If you happen to be catching the replays, type replay in the comments, and wherever you see it, we'll come back through and show you some love. But definitely connect with O and Rainwater Growth if she has what you need. If you have a problem that she has the expertise to solve, hey, hopefully this has been a match made, and there is some greatness that is in store for all parties involved. Oh, thank you, and I know I'll be seeing you around these Barter Black streets.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.